Welcome to episode 1 of our brand new podcast. This feels weird, doesn't it?
It definitely does for me.
Thank you so much for all of your lovely comments to get Lou onto the podcast. Are you happy to be here?
I am. It's took a bit of persuading, but thank you very much. I did read all your comments and that's why I am here.
See, that's lovely, isn't it? It's nice that you've took it on board. It wasn't enough for me to say, come on, Lou. Come on the podcast. It was no. And then, you're here.
There's one comment that I remember I laughed at, actually. I laughed and cried because there was one comment of a lady, I think her name was Fiona Thompson.
Right, yeah.
And something about her soup, crying into a soup. Now, I really did laugh out loud when I read this because obviously we all, well, not all, but we do get comments. We do get things that are like the same, don't we? Situations. And do you remember the one I told you when we went on our walk about me with the fish dinner with the gravy all over?
You've got to share it, Lou. You've got to.
Now, I was really hungry this day. He was going to Chippy, my fella, to go and get our tea and that. And I'd said, oh, just get me a pie dinner like yourself. So obviously the way men love to listen to everything you say.
With lots of interest.
Yeah. Comes back with not a pie dinner, a fish dinner, which really wouldn't have been that bad because I do like fish. But when I opened it up, it had gravy. Or swimming. The fish was swimming in gravy. Oh, really? I could not believe it. And I was that hungry. I burst out crying, but still stabbing my fork into the fish. And obviously, my partner said, well, what's up? What's up with you? Because I was like hysterically crying at this point. I said, no one has gravy on fish. I had to actually tell him this because he just
it's
likes
curry. I told Lee the story when we got back in off the walk when he told me a couple of months ago. I told the story to Lee and he went, no, it's curry with fish. I'm with Lou. It's definitely curry with fish.
And I think this is because he doesn't like fish. So he's just thought, well, it is what it is. But he said, well, if you don't like it, why are you eating it? And I don't even, well, it obviously was because I was hungry. But the point of it was all sloppy. It was soggy. And to make it worse, my 16-year-old son at the time was sitting opposite as well, didn't know where to look, kept looking at his dad for answers to say, what's up with me mother? So when I read your comment, Fiona, I knew exactly what, where you're coming from, and these just come on us. It's just...
They do. They come on
these moments, they're just...
Somebody left me a comment a good while back and I said I didn't really know how to address these moments when I have a hot flush.
Yeah.
And they come at the most inappropriate times. And she said they're called tropical moments.
Yeah, I've heard that one before.
I like that.
Yeah, it's nice.
So
it's nice.
We need a nice word for when we have these meltdown moments. We need to think of that one.
Yeah, we need to.
If you've got any suggestions, you can leave them in the comments down below. But that really got you, that comment?
It did. It really did. It's just laughing, and I can, at the time you're upset, aren't you? As well, you're actually
it's hormones.
You didn't even actually think it's funny at the time. You really don't. So that did make me laugh.
Did my reaction? I just laughed. I'm so bad. I laugh at anything like that. I mean, not in a nasty way, but I just laugh. I thought it was the funniest thing ever when you told me.
No, but once I'd scoffed the fish with gravy all over down my neck, then I laughed myself, afterwards, because I still would never get it again. And I don't know who has that. And I'm sorry if people actually do like that.
I don't think anybody would enjoy a cod in batter with gravy. Like, gravy is definitely for
I will
roast
just say
potatoes.
There might be some people out there who do like that, and I'm sorry if you do, but that is not a thing that I would have wanted and definitely would never normally eat. And to see it when I didn't ask for it, again, that just got me. That's just why I cried.
So Fiona Thompson, your comment really did get Lou.
It really did. It touched me.
Do you know what though? It's nice, more than anything, it's nice to see that you're not alone in the way that you felt over that. Like, you know, you probably felt petty the next day.
Yeah,
And like,
definitely.
why am I crying over a bit of gravy on fish? I'm the only person in the world who does that. But yeah, to read a comment like that and know that you're not on your own it's
And
nice
that's what
and
we were talking
reassuring.
about, isn't it? Yeah, you're not different. We're all the same.
Yeah.
Might get experiences a bit different, but
Yeah.
it's just, we just got to go with the flow, really.
That's it. We're basically like dead fish, going with the flow.
Yeah.
Dead fish in gravy.
It's definitely.
On a slightly more serious note, today we're going to speak about the start of our menopause journey and what symptoms came about.
Yeah.
I think it's important, isn't it, to give a little bit of background, because this is what the podcast is about today. We're speaking about menopause. I really do believe it needs to be spoken about more and shared more, doesn't it?
It would help a lot of people, wouldn't it?
It would, because I had no idea. When I went to my doctors with tinnitus in my ears, I'm going to share something now, and I've never shared this before, but do you remember back in 2017-18, I was complaining about working with a certain person who was giving me tinnitus in my ears? Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I said, I can't. And I was saying to her, you're talking too loud, you're making my ears ring. It wasn't even her.
Take that back to
It wasn't her. It was actually a symptom from the menopause.
I know. There's quite a few that I've never even heard of, because you told me one about smells as well.
Oh, that was the other night. I've not even shared this. So I went to bed early on, was that Friday night? Thursday night? When did we
Must have
walk
been
Friday?
Wednesday, because we went on Thursday, yeah?
Wednesday night, I went to bed early because I'd had a very long day and decided an early night was definitely needed. And I must have fell asleep at about 9:30. And I woke up at 10:30. And Lee said I'd got out of bed and stumbled around the bedroom for a minute, which I have no recollection of at all. I got back in bed, and then he said, you'd been back to sleep for about a minute and then woke up. Now, I remember waking up because I felt like, now Lee doesn't smoke, but I felt like he was lying next to me, blowing cigarette smoke in my face, like into my face. And I was like, when I woke up, and I was like, I can smell smoke, like ciggy smoke. And he was like, there's no smoke in here. And I was like, oh, it smells so strong. It was making my eyes water. It was that bad.
Because I even said to you, didn't I? It might just be like a spiritual thing, like something, you know, like a ghost or something.
No, like, well, my dad did smoke, so, you know, and anniversaries are here.
Yeah.
But it was a very strong smell. I've not had it since. And it was the next day when Lee said to me, do you remember getting out of bed and stumbling around? I was like, no. And then I was like, oh, I do remember waking up. Oh, I remember smelling smoke.
And things started coming back to you, yeah.
So I done the thing that you just shouldn't do. And I Googled it. And there's a forum, a menopause forum, where everybody's speaking about waking up to the smell of smoke, cigarette smoke, like strong cigarette smoke. And I was like, that's another symptom that I need to add to my ever-growing list.
That was one I didn't know. I'm
like Mary Poppins pulling these symptoms out of bags. I'm like, oh my gosh. Not had it again. Thank God. Cross my fingers I don't get it again. Is it cross my fingers or is it touch wood? It's touch wood, isn't it?
Touch wood, maybe. But, you know, it's just like, I think I'm a bit more irritable than you, aren't I?
Yeah. But that could just be a case of me thinking that or you thinking that, because Lee seems to think I'm irritable, like the slightest little thing, and he'll go, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, I'm fine, through gritted teeth.
It was even like to silly things, like I said to you, now, this old man who lives not far from me, and, you know, he was just going home. I was walking out the house, taking my dogs for a walk, and he just, letting on, you know, general chit-chat like you do, making small talk, really, said, oh, hi, isn't it cold? And my response was, hi, no, it's, I'm not cold, I'm not, like that. And then the poor man didn't know what to say. He just carried on walking. And then within a minute, I realised that must have like came across a little bit. Why did I say that? I questioned myself of why I said that. So I said, you know, to my partner, I said, I've just said to that man, no, I'm not. And he said, no, I know. He said, because you don't like to agree with anyone. And so that got my back right up, because, you know, at the end of the day, it wasn't that I didn't want to agree with this man. I was telling the truth. Because
She's so passionate about it.
I was having a flush at this time, had a big bubble coat on with a hoodie, and I'd just come out of a house with heating on. So, no, I wasn't cold. So normally I would have said to this man, yeah, or, you know, and gone along with him and just gone, oh, yeah, it's freezing. But at that moment in time, I didn't want to say that because, and this is what I'm saying about, that's not me. That wouldn't have been me. And
Yeah.
that's where I get quite irritable because I feel like I've just got to say. And then it'll get past that. And then I think I've been a bit funny there, or I didn't need to say that, you know.
He probably hasn't even thought
Noticed,
about it
yeah.
after you've left. Some people use speaking about the weather as a way of chit-chat.
Yeah.
You know, breaking the day up.
Which I would have normally gone along with,
Yeah.
to be fair to.
Yeah.
But on that occasion, I wasn't in the mood. And that carries on then that I got wound up with my partner for saying, well, because you can't agree with people. And I said, no, I want to tell the truth, and stormed ahead with the dog. I didn't even want to walk anywhere near him. So, that's how that ended.
Well, I got into a similar type of heated debate with Lee on Friday. So we've got a little bit of decorating going on at the moment. And I asked Lee if he'd hang the mirror. And we had such a song and dance. And he said, my attitude, shocking. And I shouldn't force him to just hang the mirror. It's his day off. I was like, I'm not forcing you. Just leave it. I'll do it.
But I'd agree with you there because that is only asking him for a mirror.
Well, I then wanted to dance all over the mirror. I got so frustrated. I was like, just leave it. I said, you're walking around stamping your feet. He said, and you're walking around shouting. I only wanted the mirror hanging. And I was like, well, I did only want the mirror hanging. It's not a lot to ask for, is it, surely?
Definitely not. Well, we don't think it's a lot, do we?
I got told I had a bad attitude. Why did they feel the need to pull us up on it? Like Richard said to you, you know, because you can't agree with anyone. And Lee's like, yeah, because you've got a bad attitude. I'm like,
seriously.
So, how long roughly do you think you've been in the menopause for?
Well, like I got told off my doctor, he thinks I'm still Peri, which I wasn't happy with because I said, well...
When did he first tell you were Peri? Well, I think you're a year earlier than me.
2018?
And I was 2018, so mine was later on in 2018. So maybe yours was at the beginning of the year. Because I remember when we'd been working, you'd be like, Tony, I feel all let up and not right, like you knew you weren't right. And I was like,
that when I was saying to you about, you know, even things like when you're watching, it was the Lloyd's TSB advert that got me. The horse would be just running on the advert and the song, I Will Be There For You. And I'd burst out crying and go, and you know, he'd look over and go, what are you crying for? And I'd be like, he'll be there. You know, I don't know why that got
TSB
me.
will.
I don't know who's there for who, but that really got to me. The horse running through the water, he will be there. And I just... even cleaning the skating boards one day, and going back a few years now, and I was sobbing. And he did say, how long have I got this for? It's just...
Well, my doctor told me 10 years for perimenopause, and your doctor told you 5 years?
They said, the nurse actually it was, she said 4 years. 4 years usually, perimenopause.
She's telling porkies.
Now, the doctor, which I told you it was only a couple of weeks ago, I spoke to the doctor. And the doctor said, it sounds like I'm still perimenopause. And that was when I rang up thinking I had dementia.
Yeah.
I was getting quite concerned. It was obviously the brain fog.
I'm with you on that because
I
genuinely
think that's the scary
now,
bit, isn't it? That is quite scary.
Speaking honestly, about 3 weeks ago, I told you about it.
Yeah.
Lee and I had gone to the Royal Mail sorting office to drop parcels off. And he told me to make the turn and buy the laundrette. Now, I know this turn and I've made this turn and umpteen times. And I went right past it and I was like, I just didn't see it. And he was like, oh, that was a bit weird. Anyway, we go to the sorting office, drops the parcels off and we're coming home. I've lived here for 23 years. That's a long time.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And on our way home, it was at around 4:30, 4:45. It was just going dark. And I made the turn too early for the cul-de-sac where I live and pulled up onto someone's driveway. And Lee went, "Love, what are you doing?" And I went, he went, "I noticed that you but I could see the concern on his face, and I was just like, I just couldn't see properly. That's
and you're
all."
trying to mask it over.
Yeah. Then he must have said something to little Lee, because then I got, "No, Mum, no, I didn't say this week. I said next Wednesday. Do you remember me saying it was next Wednesday?" And I was like, "Why are you talking to me like I'm 5?
Yeah.
Of course."
Yeah.
And he'll pick me up, like if I say something wrong in a sentence, which is like, Lee laughs at me. He really does laugh at me, because he goes, "It's actually quite relaxing to see you messing words up," because I'm usually the one to pick them up on it, you know. And he says, like, it can be the simplest of little things, but my brain, like, I'm usually really sharp and quick with stuff like that. I just don't have it. To the point where I found it alarming, but the only reassurance that I took from that was, if I wasn't in my right mind, I wouldn't be aware of it.
Well, that's what you said to me, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, so that,
So you're definitely in your right mind to be aware of it.
Yeah. It's just, at that moment in time, it's scary. It's just, it's not nice. It's not a nice feeling, is it? But, you know.
I think the hardest part is the fact that there are so many symptoms. And I started with mine in 2018. We were going to yoga, and I was saying to you when we were on our way home from yoga back in 2018 that I'd started getting migraines again, ophthalmic migraines.
Yeah.
Now, I got them going through puberty as a kid at around 13, 14. I started with migraines, and I didn't join the dots with that. And the ringing in my ears, none of it. And then went to the doctors, and he was like, "Well, we need to, look into that, because that can usually be your hormones." Plus there was other symptoms, like I couldn't sleep. I get a ton of questions on my other YouTube channel with regards to why I get up so early. And it's the menopause. Like, I've always been an early bird. 5:30, 6 o'clock is a great time to wake up. But 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like this. What can I do today?
See, and this is where I'm the opposite to you again.
Yeah.
Because I'm the opposite, where I could sleep all day, wake up, have something to eat, have a drink, and go back to sleep. I can't get enough sleep.
I'd love to be that way.
What did I say to you the other week? How many hours? I think was it
14 hours, was it?
12 or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It was a long
sleep. It was
sleep.
on one of my days off, obviously. I wasn't just...
I get that in a week.
And I do feel your pain there. But I've never really had trouble sleeping. The hot sweats have woke me up. But since I've been taking herbal...
Oh, yeah, you take herbal. Black kosher or something, is it?
Yeah. Since, don't get me wrong, I'm still getting them, but nowhere near as bad.
That's another thing that we can do in one of our upcoming podcasts, is speak about the herbal, because we're both taking a herbal route. We're not using HRT, and I'm trying to be as healthy as I possibly can with the medication that I take. Because as you know, I wouldn't even take a paracetamol for a headache or a migraine.
Ditto, yeah, same.
Terrified. But we are going down a herbal route with our menopause, and I'm finding it okay. Apart from, restless legs and night sweats and hot flushes, everything's great. I've got a little bit of a mild hot flush coming on me now, but everything's great. But, well, it's tolerable is the word.
Yeah, that's
tolerable.
a good, good way.
It's tolerable.
I'm sleeping a lot best, like a lot more easy without waking up being hot. To the point of, like I said to you, Richard actually used to say, "You're like a radiator." Yeah. I can't actually even come anywhere near you. Not that you need to know that, but, and you will have obviously had the symptoms yourself if you're going through this. Hair, curly, stuck to my head, dripping in the middle, stripping off, waking up.
It's down here.
Yeah.
It's my neck. In between my boobs, under my boobs, in my little crease in my belly.
Yeah. Clothes thrown around the room. I wake up in the morning. Everything's being thrown. It's just...
It's the joys. But you know what? We can't... The good thing is we're not letting it get to us too much. We're taking it in our stride. And hopefully by us sharing these details and having a little gab with you, it might make you feel a little bit better about any symptoms that you have. Because I've got a Mary Poppins bag full of symptoms. But I think the worst one for me is the sleeping and the night sweats. Yeah, I am going to need to get a new mattress on my bed because it looks like I've wet the bed. It's up the top half by the pillow, but it still looks really bad. And
Well, I've got 3 dogs. You could just blame the dogs.
the dogs don't go upstairs.
No one needed to know they didn't. You could have blamed them. Oh, the poor dogs. Poor dogs.
The dogs wet the bed, wasn't me.
Oh.
But I feel so embarrassed about how I'm going to get out the house because I'd stripped the bed a few months back. And Lee came upstairs to do something and he went, "Love, what's happened in the bed?" I went, "That's from my night sweat." But I got dead embarrassed about it. I was like, he went, "It looks like you've wet the bed." I was like, "Well, I'd have to sit up in the bed, wouldn't I, to wet it?"
Explaining yourself.
Not even arguing with you. I was like, "Yeah, you don't want to right now."
It's a bit that, like, even things that I've noticed, I've always normally been quite fit
Yeah.
and kept weight off quite easily.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Oh, yeah.
And then had bought something, guessing I was like still this size when I really wasn't, obviously.
But they've changed the sizes so much compared to years ago as well.
They have. I agree with that. But then when I put my arm out, and I just wondered where this had come from.
We just need to practice the Queen's wave rather than the full-on swing.
That's definitely it. Because, things have always got
Elegant.
to be covered now. But it's just, that's another getting older,
It's
isn't
weight
it?
gain.
It's just,
Weight gain with the menopause.
Weight gain also.
That was the main concern with me because there's heart disease in my family. It's my main concern is to try and not carry any weight on my front. But it's so hard. Like menopause, you can eat a cake, really enjoy the cake, but it's going to live on your hips for the next 6 months, one cake.
Yeah, I'm finding that because I've never really been a sweetie person. I've been more savoury, really.
Yeah.
And remember that little episode? I did have an episode in work. I was quite irritable. Again.
I love it. Quite
Wow.
irritable.
And the lady my colleague I was working with, could see that first time she'd seen it in me. I was not really a good person to speak to this day. Anyway, goes over the restaurant. I told you about this, didn't I? And he could make, everything's homemade. It's lovely. It's all lovely stuff. And I just said, "And what's this?" I don't know what my face was saying. I said, "Is this chocolate cake?"
You thought it was sticky toffee pudding?
Well, I thought it was sticky toffee pudding. I asked what it was. I said, "Is this sticky toffee pudding?" And he was like, "No, this was chocolate cake." And I must have been staring at it quite bizarrely for the chef to then turn around and say, "Would you like a slice? Or are you going to carry on chewing that wasp?" Now, I was like, even had to laugh at that sarcastically myself. So, yeah, I did end up taking the cake. But then instead of waiting until I got back to the staff room, I actually started eating it through the restaurant, which I'd never normally do. Shoveling it into my mouth. And it made me feel better for a good, 10 minutes. But it's things like that are shocking you because it's not how I would normally react or even want. But it made me feel good for 10 minutes, this little
I think we've always been that way, though, where you can't hide your facial expressions and be like, "Oh, I'm fat." Like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of a way to explain it. But if
our
you were
face gives us
tasting
away.
something and it wasn't so nice, but you didn't want to offend the chef, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's so nice." Like, I've never been gifted in that way. I'd be like, "That's horrible. I'm not eating that."
Yeah.
So I think before we end it, shall we do have you had any strange symptoms with the menopause? I think my strange one is definitely smell and smoke. That wasn't there.
Yeah, because I've never heard of that.
No. And yet on the forum, there was lots of it. A lot of people are smelling smoke during the menopause.
I don't know whether mine's really strange, but I will say what's quite heightened with me is noises.
Right.
Which I've said to you before.
It's certain noises.
Certain noises, and I feel quite bad. Even
Well, before you say what your certain noises are, I've got something to end the podcast with. So go on, you say what your sensitive hearing is.
I feel terrible even saying this. This is like babies, little tiny babies, when I've been in the supermarket and they're screaming. I don't mean a little cry, when they are screaming.
Tantrum babies. Tantrum toddlers.
And I have got to get out of that aisle quite sharply. And I've been in that position myself.
I think your hearing's just heightened, isn't it? Too.
Even to the point of...
Because I can't listen to loud music or anything anymore.
Well, but to the point of someone drinking water and the gulp. I just quickly turned my head and wanted to run. Take the bottle out of the hand and maybe pour the bottle over the head because I couldn't take it anymore.
See, Ollie's like that. Ollie's exactly the same with food noises.
And I know some people, that's just a normal thing that people usually have.
Yeah.
And I've never had that before. So to suddenly have where noises are really affecting me is like...
Well, if you've had any strange symptoms with the menopause, we would love you to leave a comment down below so we don't feel as alone with our cigarette smoke and heightened sensitivity to noises. But I'm going to finish off with something that was really, really funny. And I just want to know if anybody else who is like us going through the menopause, you feel the same way. So if you don't know, I have one son. He's 25 and you have...
2 sons and a stepdaughter.
So you get to the point in life where you're like, you know, I'm happy. I've got Lee and Lee and all is fine. We'd been on a walk a few nights ago, maybe a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I came back after, you know, having one of my tropical moments or menopausal moments. And I was sat in the chair and I said to little Lee, I'd said to big Lee a few nights previous to that, are we sure we're done where kids are concerned? Like, should we have another one?
I know the answer straight away to my...
I said, because it's that. I'm an Aries, and I'm a control freak, so I don't like to have that taken away from me. So I was like...
And I get that. I think that's what it is. It's more...
Yeah, like, you're not going to be able to anymore.
Yeah.
The choice is being taken away.
Yeah.
And I said, are you sure that we're done? And Lee was like, well, of course we are. You know, we're getting a little bit older now. And I was like, yeah, but women still become mums at 45, you know.
Definitely. More so, I'd say now.
Yeah, definitely. And I was just feeling like I never want to regret anything. So I came in from this walk after speaking to you and Lee was here and I'd said, you know, me and Lou have been chatting about motherhood and Lee turns around to little Lee and says, well, how would you feel about having a little brother or sister? And this was Lee's reaction. He was sat here. He was like this, and I'm sat in the chair there, and he says, are you joking? I went, well, no. And he went, yeah, you're too old. I went, and he went, Mum, you are. He said, listen, think of it this way. If you were to have a baby now, in 18 years... no, 63.
No, 63.
He said...
Well, it's not far off, 70.
He said, in 18 years, you'll be 63. And that means my little brother or sister has got to look after you. Not like, I'll look after you, Mum, you'll be fine. It's like, my little brother or sister's got to look after you. And Lee's 7 years older than me. So Lee would be 70. He was like, no, Mum, you need to just forget about that. And I was like, it hit me in that moment that I'm not at an age. I don't think we junked at an age where I could deal with it.
It's like you say, it's not even that you probably want another one. It's just the fact of it being taken away from you.
I think that's what it is. That's definitely what it is.
Everything's changing. Everything's ending. But on a happier note, it's just it's another era.
It's a transition into a more relaxed approach where we haven't got to deal with those monthly moments and we just got to embrace all these symptoms, haven't we?
This is what we've got to do, yeah.
We've got to be happy with them.
Yeah, we have. Or try.
So that brings our little episode 1 to an end. Really hope that you've enjoyed episode 1 of our little podcast. If you've got any comments, you can leave them down below and we will definitely get back to you.
And hopefully see you soon.
We will see you next Sunday at 7 a.m.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.